Brexit,
public projects.
What would you do differently?
Well, at this particular stage, I think originally I would have been less triumphalist about Brexit. I would have resisted the temptation to lord it over the British, given their own weaknesses and difficulties in terms of British politics. But essentially, we do believe that for Ireland, the objective has to be, and we share that with other parties, and the Dáil has been sharing the common objective of protecting Ireland insofar as we possibly can from a Brexit. In other words, we want a close relationship with Britain.
Yeah, but what about
we want
the
a close
argument that the
relationship between Britain and Europe. I think myself, in terms of the megaphone diplomacy that accompanied the first agreement, I think that could have been avoided.
Okay, but
I think there was a degree of triumphalism that did get the backup in unionist quarters and elsewhere, which I think has given rise to all of the
Okay, but what about the danger that the backstop, Micheál, could be the very thing that brings about what we don't want, which is the border?
You mean the no deal?
The insistence on the backstop, which could lead to a no deal, means we could have a border.
Well, a no deal does mean a border.
Because we then prioritise the single market
I think it's
over not having a border.
It's not as simplistic as that, though, because I do think we do have to protect the idea of a seamless trade across the border. I mean, I want seamless trade north to south. That's practical. I get the sense that unionism does as well, by the way, or certainly the unionist constituency does. I think Ulster farmers...
I think are they coming around to the idea, perhaps, of a deal which only for Northern Ireland, which had been originally proposed before Theresa May brought the island of Britain into the equation as well?
I think, to be fair to all concerned and to government and everybody, the British have had a problem. They've had no blueprint for Brexit. They went to the country, they had their referendum, there was no blueprint subsequently. I think Theresa May wanted a UK-wide backstop. In a sense, blamed the DUP for it, but in reality, British manufacturing wanted to stay in the customs union, and the elites within Britain, civil servants, I think they wanted a UK-wide backstop. They couldn't get that through Parliament. We are back to square one. My very first speech on Brexit was an economic zone for Northern Ireland.
So do you think are the unionists coming around to it? Because it is suggested that the way that Boris Johnson can get his deal is by making it Northern Ireland only. Do you think will the unionists come around to support that?
I think we're looking at a Northern Ireland-specific solution. I think it'll be difficult for unionism. I think there will be issues around the consent principle and the idea perhaps of the utilisation of the Northern Ireland Assembly, a restored Northern Ireland Assembly, as a mechanism or mechanisms within that to deliver that consent or consultative process. And I do think it's in everybody's interest, North and South and in Britain, to avoid a no deal. I think Boris Johnson is in a corner. Sometimes circumstances and events can conspire to lead to a certain outcome. And I think there is a prospect of a deal here by the end of October. And I think a lot depends on the European attitude as well, which I think has to be receptive and responsive.